Well, good evening, everyone. Apparently, I was on camera and not aware of it. So I want to welcome whoever is here watching this Facebook Live from the Center for Spiritual Living, Pleasant Valley. I'm Pamela Bailey. I am the lead practitioner there. And as practitioners, we are licensed by the Centers for Spiritual Living to do affirmative prayer with you. And we do this in any circumstance that you deem appropriate, whether it's having to do with your health, your wealth, your well being, your occupation, your relationships, or an opportunity that's coming up. So we work with you and we pray affirmatively using that energy, that spirit and wisdom that spirit brings in to further enliven and assist in your progress. Tonight, I took the opportunity to talk about judgment. Now, judgment is an interesting thing. In the Bible, it says that the Lord saith, judgment is mine. However, as human beings, we do it all the time. When I'm taking a class, and one of the parts of this class was to choose a practice for 30 days, and there were 3 practices from which to choose. One of them was doing the 30-day mental diet. Well, you doing the 7-day mental diet for 30 days. Another was to do this judgment exercise, and I forgot what the other one was. So I decided I would take on this judgment practice. And what it is catching yourself. As soon as you judge someone or something, you catch yourself. And the point of catching yourself is to, in that moment, recognize, oh, I judged again. And then there's something to do about it. But I'd like to talk a little bit about judgment before we actually see the practice and practice the practice. So again, as human beings, we're wired to judge. We call it sometimes discernment, or sometimes if we forget, we call it discrimination or evaluating. But in fact, we're judging all the time, and that's good. It's part of our survival mechanism. If we weren't aware and judging whether the circumstance was positive or not, years ago we might have gotten gotten eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. Now we're more concerned about making certain that we're paying attention when we're crossing a street, because either other people might be texting or the drivers might be texting. So we want to be aware of our circumstances to continue to survive and live this wonderful human life. The thing that happens, though, is there are other times we judge which doesn't benefit our lives. In our internal dialogues, we are constantly judging. We're judging what's out there, we're judging ourselves, we're judging circumstances, we're judging people. That's what we do all the time, and it's just an endless chatter. So, for instance, this internal judging, it looks like, wow, is my weight better this year or last? Looking out and around, oh, this year's model of that car is uglier than last year's. Or, my house looks dumpy compared to the neighbor. Maybe I need to paint it. In high school, we all wanted to, well, probably all of us wanted to be part of the cool kids. Or we didn't want to hang out with someone who was prettier and smarter because we might look bad. So on and on it goes. As humans, we do these things, and they're pretty innocuous. And again, we're just always at it. Judging is a problem for several reasons. An obvious one is that when we judge, someone or something is wrong. And when something is wrong, then someone or something is losing. Stephen Covey famously said, win-win or no game. Well, Stephen Covey was right. And what happens is if both people don't win, which is not possible in a judging situation, one or both lose, and it usually does not go well. It can easily damage a relationship of any sort, business, marriage, partnership, friendship. And it doesn't matter if you're the judger or the judgee. If you feel like you are being judged, you're naturally going to withdraw and withhold communication, and that will damage the relationship further. It's truly with people that judgment is most harmful. And the person I judge most, and I would bet that you do, is myself. Think about that for a moment. Who do you judge the most? Myself. And who am I the harshest on? Myself. It's usually a barrage of I woulda, I coulda, I shoulda, and that is not the way to a happy and peaceful life. Occasionally, our circumstances or we end up on the positive side of a judgment. But don't think that means it's all okay, because there's a danger there of becoming proud or thinking that you have it handled and you're better than someone. Beware. That usually doesn't end well either, especially for you. Okay, so to finish the part on the damage judgment can cause, its nastiest damage is when we judge others and doing so out loud. That is the worst. That has been known to change to harm relationships, opportunities, business partnerships, and even marriages. So what to do? What to do about this? We're going to keep judging. That's just what we do as human beings. And we can meditate and pray and all of that, and still we're going to do it because we're human. Okay. What we can do is we can take on a practice. It's free, it's simple, it's not easy though. And the practice is something that we commit to and we practice it. That doesn't say that we're perfect at it. It says we practice at it and we're committed to doing so. So this practice is to be aware and catch yourself in the moment or as close to it when you judge yourself, when you judge another, when you judge a circumstance. And in that moment, whether you've condemned yourself or you've judged another and made them less, then you stop and you think of 3 good things about yourself, that other person, or that circumstance. Now, you may be fortunate enough that it hasn't slipped out of your mouth. So in this case, in your mind, you think of 3 positive things about yourself, about the circumstance, or about the other person. Here's an example in my life today. And that is, I noticed that on my table was a stack of unopened mail. And I immediately made myself wrong for having the stack of mail that wasn't opened yet and to having it on the table. And I went, wait, stop. And then I said, all right, what are 3 positive things? Now, this was in my mind. I wasn't speaking it out loud. So I thought for a moment and I went, oh, well, 2 days ago I cleaned off the table. It was really lovely. And my mail gets delivered by one of 2 mail persons, both of whom are totally wonderful. And when I go out to pick up the mail, I get to see my neighborhood and the beautiful trees and the other people and the dogs. So that's all good. And the last good thing is this month there's a lot less mail because not every charity on the planet is sending me a solicitation for end of year giving. Now, you can see that's a small example, not big in the greater picture of life, and yet we're constantly doing these things and catching myself, catching myself, catching myself, catching myself. So now there's another one that I can tell you about. You might get a little chuckle out of this. So again, an opportunity to look at condemning myself after judging myself. And this one is when I get up in the morning, sometimes I look in the mirror and oh my goodness, my hair is flat on one side. And when I look in the mirror, oh dear, there's some other new sign of aging. Ugh. Oh, stop, stop, stop. All right, 3 good things. Okay, I had a good night's sleep. That's why my hair is flat. And when I think about signs of aging, I think I'm truly blessed to be living in this time where I can be this age and be healthy and active and be engaged in life. And last but not least, my vision is good enough to see all of that. Again, we can be silly, we can be playful, or we can be serious. Does not matter. It's just come up with 3 good things right away. And if they're funny, that's great. If they're really serious, that's also great. So you get the idea. So it's the point is to think of something for which to be grateful rather than for which to be critical. And it does get easier. I took on this practice a week ago, and I can tell you the first day it seemed like all I did was think of 3 things. Now, sometimes you will do an oops, and instead of the judgment staying inside your head, it comes out your mouth. Now, sometimes it's not a big deal. Sometimes you really don't have an opportunity to clean it up because the situation passes. But the other day, I was on a Zoom call with some dear friends, and one of the men was talking about how to do a particular thing. Now, both he and I had been to a session on how to do it, and he said something that wasn't correct. I immediately corrected him, and I went, "Oh, darn." And I'd just been talking about this practice. So what I did is I immediately said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I judged you and I corrected you." And then I said, "Okay, 3 good things about you. I know that you are a great father. I know that you are a steadfast friend, and I know that you are someone who wants everyone on the planet to be fulfilled and happy." So that was a perfect opportunity to demonstrate to my other friends that I'd been sharing with what it looks like when you actually do this. And they go, "Wow, that's pretty easy. Maybe I will do this." And again, if it's someone that you're really good friends with, probably they would give you some slack, but it doesn't matter. It isn't about taking the easy path. It's about catching yourself and cleaning it up. Okay, so what about when you judge someone and you don't say anything out loud? The wonderful woman who teaches this class was doing a live seminar in those times when you could with over 100 people. And she started the seminar off by asking them about judging. And so first, all these people were kind of sitting there, "Oh, I don't judge. I don't judge." And then she asked if anyone had had any judgments about the technical difficulties they'd had with a microphone. Well, a few hands went up. And then about the air conditioning, which was cranky, a few more hands went up. And then, "Oh, did anyone have any commentary about her hairdo or her clothing?" A few more hands went up, and pretty soon all of the hands were up, and people looked around and they were laughing because, yes, we do that all the time. Once again, here's the opportunity. Think of 3 good things about that circumstance. Now, depending on the whole the whole circumstance of what's going on, you may or may not be able to do this, but think of those 3 things, and now this is bonus points. Engage, especially if you don't know the person, engage with them, not saying anything about how you had judged them, but on one or more of those good things that you had to say. Engage with them on that, start a conversation, and who knows, you could be starting a new friendship, you could be creating a business opportunity. Who knows what wonderful thing could be occurring out of your having turned around the judgment to finding something good to be grateful for in the circumstance. Okay, so one of the things that, again, in knowing that we judge, it's just that's how we do things. However, in the bigger picture, truly nothing is wrong. As Reverend Betty Ann says, excuse me, as Reverend Betty Ann says, "My life is unfolding perfectly, no matter what." Now, if I look at that, that says that, oh, these things are occurring. Nothing is wrong. All is well. Either I'm getting a gift, which I'm enjoying in the moment, or there's a lesson here that is leading my soul on its path. And the opportunity for me to get the lesson is in the moment. The good news is I can choose to get the lesson right away and it will be easier and smoother, or I can resist and it will get stronger and louder until I actually get the lesson. But again, nothing is wrong. My life is unfolding perfectly and I am judging. And that's just how life is. So here, let us do a little participation exercise. So think of something that happened in your life today that you can look at and that you judged yourself for. It could be something you said, or it could be something that you thought, or it could be a criticism of yourself. Mine was I was busily working on something else and I got this text from my friend Michelle saying, "Can you join the meeting?" And I went, "Oh no." I had committed to be at this meeting at 12 noon on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month on Zoom. And it was 5 after 12, and I was not on the Zoom call. And then, of course, I had to find the link. As I was looking for the link, I said, all right, what are three good things? Because I was immediately down on myself for having forgotten and not having put it in my calendar and all of those things. So, first of all, I said, I am so grateful to be part of this group and to be able to get on this Zoom call because I love the people and I always learn something. The second is that we actually have these Zoom calls and that we get to stay connected even when we cannot be in person together. And last but not least, I had an opportunity to demonstrate this little technique. And so once we got into the call and took care of the other things that we were dealing with, I shared it and they were delighted to think that, wow, this would be something that we could try. And again, it's not about being perfect. It's recognizing that I am human, I am going to judge, and that's what I can expect. And what I can do is in that moment, I can look for the good things, the things to be grateful for, and turn the energy around and get back in the space of where I truly know my life is unfolding perfectly, no matter what. So, to recap all of this, I would just like to say first, we looked at how we judge as human beings. And again, this doesn't mean that we're sinful or evil or anything else. It just means that we're human, being human, and we get an opportunity to do something about it. And again, we looked at the different ways that we judge. So we judge ourselves, we judge others, we judge circumstances, and we either say it out loud or we don't. And we looked at ways to clean it up and to turn it around and to have it be something where instead of being negative and having judged it, we now have it as positive and something for which to be grateful for. And finally, a practice which has us be aware of our judgments and give us in the moment an opportunity to turn that around and to take and to avoid the heaviness and to avoid the guilty feelings later about what you thought or what you said and to clean it up in the moment. And I invite you, should you wish, to have more peace of mind and more mental quiet, to consider taking this on. Try it for a week. It does get easier, and I highly commend it. And you too can be free from the burden and the stress of constant judgment. Thank you. And tell your friends about our Center for Spiritual Living. And again, I thank you for being here. Bye.